Alright, we're here with another episode of Bajas on a Budget. I've been reading a lot of stuff on the forum about brakes. The guy's not getting enough braking. So I'm going to show you how we get braking out of the stock components. There's a lot of good aftermarket components out there. I really don't have any experience with them, so I can't guide you down that road. But what I can do is I can tell you what we're doing with the HPI parts. First thing is on your disc and pads, I'm going to show you a worn set here and what we do to bring them back to life. If you could zoom in down here, Dave, we'll get a little shot of these. On the discs, you're going to notice that there's a round side and there's a stamped side on the discs. You're going to go ahead and the stock finish is going to wear off. We pre-sand ours, and you're going to form a little groove in there. They're going to get a little shiny after time. You can see the shininess on this disc here, and then also I think you can see a little bit of a wear pattern in there, and those pads glaze up a little bit as well. One of the things you can do to bring these two parts back to life, reach right down here, got a little handy board, is you just go ahead and set them on a board here and sand them back and forth, just enough to get the groove out of the pad on the parts. So just go ahead and go around, get that little groove out of there, and you're going to sand it up, and you're going to get that pad finish back to where it was. Also on the disc, you can take your disc and you can sand it around, just kind of rotate it around and rough up the edges, basically like turning a disc on a car when you put new pads on it. And you're going to polish it back up. You're going to see a little bit of discoloration, but you're also going to see the scratches going through, and that'll just kind of rough it up and bring your brake parts back to life. I do this to the brake parts when they're brand new as well. One other thing that I do, a lot of guys run springs in between these. I don't. There is a problem with dirt getting in between this plastic piece here and the back of the pad that you slip on. So what I'll do is I'll put a very thin little film of silicone here, and it holds it to the plastic piece so that dirt doesn't get behind there and I don't get any brake binding. When we run out in the sand dunes, I pretty much eliminate all this stuff. I don't run any brakes at all. I've only hit like probably about 13 or 14 people, but that's okay. They've all recovered and they're walking fine. They just kind of pull to the left when they cruise through the malls. So that's reviving your brake parts to get better braking. Okay, so we're going to move on to the car right now. It's kind of important in the car to get some components that are going to give you better braking. And one of those first components is going to be a good servo. If you don't know about endpoints on your servos, you're going to want to learn about those, because if you push a servo too far, you're going to burn a servo up by asking it to go farther than it's capable of going. And I've seen a lot of guys, put that body in the trash can right there, I've seen a lot of guys burn up servos in 8 scale, 10 scale, all the different scales, just by not setting endpoints. They ask them to go too far. So make sure you get a good servo in there. I run a stronger servo, puts out over I think it's a little over 100 ounces of torque. It's pretty fast, and it's a servo that's capable of doing the work that I want to ask it to do. But I don't ask it to go any farther than it needs to, otherwise kablammy. I've been running the same throttle and braking servo in this car for about 2 years, since I bought my first Baja, since the SS came out. Okay, so here we have my brake components. I'm going to turn the car so that you guys can see them, and Dave can get a little close-up on it right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull my little shroud up here so you can see it. I run the stock spring. Some guys run the fuel line in there, but the fuel line doesn't make my brakes sensitive enough. It's either they're on or they're off. The car goes to lock up too quick. So I run the spring. When the brakes are applied with the spring, you can see the spring can gradually apply pressure. When my brakes are locked up, and when I ask my servo to stop, the spring is almost fully compressed. Even and on tracks that are looser and the little dustier conditions, I even ask less of my brakes. So I go a little bit less on there so that I have more of a sensitive brake. What that'll do is that'll give you more throw in your finger on your controller versus just barely touching your controller trigger and end up in full lockup. So another thing is I don't have much play in my spring. It's pretty close. It's right there. The whole assembly just has a little bit of play in it, not much at all. And my discs roll fine. You want to make sure your whole drivetrain's free on there. So when you're braking on those, set your servo just enough to give you almost full collapse of the spring. Also, one of the things I want to show you is when you put your brake discs on, you're going to notice there's cuts in the brake disc, cooling cuts. Go ahead and set one disc forward like that, and you're going to set the other disc this way so that the fins run the opposite way. The piece that runs in the middle, I run it so it hooks forward so it scoops in air on my brakes as well. And another thing is on these stamped edges right here, you can run the round edge out or you can run your straight edge out. I haven't really noticed a difference between the sharp edge, but I do know if you run round edge out on this side and you run the round edge out on that side, you're going to have your fins going the opposite way on there. So that's another thing I got going on. What else can I show you guys? Pretty much that's it, man. You got to have the right servo. You got to, oh, I thank you. Oh, looks like I'm a winner. I am a winner today. It's a great day when I'm a winner. One of the things is just kind of feel behind your plate. Make sure your discs are free. That nut that also runs, that the discs run on, make sure that thing doesn't wear too much. They're pretty inexpensive. They wear quickly. If your brake disc goes inside the hub, then you're gonna get. Oh, looky, we have a baby crawler. Isn't that nice? We like baby crawlers. Okay. Another thing is when you set up your pads and everything, a lot of guys like to run the bearings in there. I do. The bushings are what comes stock with the car. My car's a little different than stock, so that's a brake setup, man. I can't really say any more about it. My braking's sufficient. When I test and tune motors on the road, you can really hear the brakes dropping all the way down, and I can even add more to my endpoint, and it gives me more breakage. That'll be your percentage in your controller. So, anyways, that's the brake setup. This is Shreadhead signing out. We'll see you at the races. Are you gonna say one?